SoftVelocity.
In this chapter, we will replace this input with a slider. I'm going to use ion slider, ion range slider, because it's very flexible and it's very easy to implement inside Clarion. A lot of options, but we will handle it. We don't have to worry about because it is very easy to use. The first thing that we have to do is to copy the zip file. I'm using a couple folders. I can erase this one because I moved that folder inside the CSS. And the script. We have the script here under JS and CSS. Of course, now we have to modify the skeleton. Here we have the skeleton. We will need 3 different files. First, range slider CSS. We need this CSS file. And next, the skin. I am going to use the skin for HTML5 because it's very nice and it's very easy to modify. You can create your own skins, but this is not the point right now. And of course, the script itself. Let's save it. Now, let's implement before we do this, we have to get the ID. What ID? Well, the ID of the input field that we will use to display the value. And is this one. This is the ID. It is unique. So let's use it. We are basically calling the slider. I am setting a max value of 1000. It's fine. Let's say that we want 1000. Good enough. And let's run the application. Okay. Now we have the slider working. But as you can see, we still have the spin arrows. I can go back to Clarion and modify that and use a simple field, but on the desktop counterpart, I'm going to be using the same spin. And I would like to have the spin for the desktop users and just have the slider for the H5 users. We can remove this. Of course, there is no option to do it inside Clarion, but we can do it using some CSS code. Let's do it. I'm going to shoot down this, and I will use a CSS file so I can modify whatever I want, and I will be able to add more stuff to it. Okay, we need a new class. let's say that we will use this class. So basically I am using no border, no color, no background. But let's remember that we have also a hover effect. So let's add that. No border, no color, no background. And let's not forget about the clips. The small white arrows inside those buttons will need to be modified as well. Let's do the same. No border, no color, no background, no display. Let's save this file. And we need to add the CSS file to the skeleton. Let's add it here. Well, right now, let's run again the application. What I can tell you, it is not going to remove anything because we are not using the class for the small buttons. We have to specify what to do. How? We will have to use jQuery. Don't worry, it's very easy. First, we have to take a look at the code and the elements. Okay, the button is inside a span, but we don't want to use just the span because the span will use the same class for everything inside the page for other spins. We want to specify that only for this ID we will modify the class. How? Well, let's do it using some jQuery code. First, this is the ID that I would like to identify. And we can see that there is one object. But now, if I see the code, besides that ID, there is another span right next to it, not inside, right next to the ID, to the input. And inside I can find the buttons. And inside the buttons I can find the glyphs. Okay, then I will use next all, and inside that span I will find the buttons. So I will use children. What children? Only those children that are buttons. But now I need to change the class. Well, basically I am going to add an extra class. And you can tell me, well, you can hide the button and it should work. No, it will not work. Because if you hide the button, you will break the layout. So I will change the class. And we can see that I don't have the buttons anymore. I will have to do the same with the glyphs. Basically the same. Just take a look at this, because I am using children twice. First, I locate the buttons, and then I locate the glyphs using this specific class. And I add a class. Now that I see that everything is working properly, I will add that code to Clarion. Let's shut down the application and let's go back to Clarion. And let's add that code. It could be before or after the script for the slider. It is not important. There we go. Let's see. It is working just properly. And of course, I no longer have the buttons and the glyphs. The arrows are gone and the buttons are gone, and my application is looking very clean. Let's take a look at this like using a phone. And as you can tell, the slider is responsive.